What would you get if you combined Sayonara Zetsubou-sensei with Durarara? You'd get the Voynich Hotel. There's basically no better way to describe it. It's the same kind of pitch black, occasionally referential humor that you might find in Sayonara Zetsubou-sensei, with the cast of wacky criminal characters that you would expect from one of those older light novels by someone like the Baka no Durarara author. Set on a fictional island called Blefuscu, this story centers on a special hotel that is home to all sorts of bizarre guests, be they hitmen and gangsters or supernatural creatures, if you will. People with all kinds of special powers and dubious morals and motives who are gathered here for various reasons, such as needing to kill a hiding dignitary or just getting away from your past. The main character is a seemingly pretty average Japanese guy who turns up at this hotel. He is, in fact, running away from his past, but I won't spoil too much about that. The way that this book is structured is that you're gradually always learning more and more about the characters and about the setting. So in the beginning, it just seems like there's something weird about this hotel. The maids are a little too good to be true. There's something darker going on, but the darkness is established pretty quickly. Within the first couple of chapters, we see a couple of guys get sniped in the fucking head. Following that, the manga continues on down a very violent, dark, and grim route, but never while feeling grim dark in particular. It's never really relishing in the darkness. It's not the kind of thing where it's trying to be shocking and edgy per se. It's really always handled with a lot of tongue planted firmly in cheek. It is a comedy manga, first and foremost. There's lots of goofy references. The tone is mostly fairly kept together. It's very dry for being as violent and manic as it can be in certain moments, but it never really feels like a wacky time. Something that'll stand out right away and probably create a lot of fans of this manga is the really distinctive art style of Dowman Seyman. His character designs are very angular and sort of clean, but with really interesting line art. It definitely is the part that reminds me the most of Sayonara Zetsubou-sensei, particularly that the younger maid kind of looks like Maria from that series. Apparently, Dowman Seyman was very influenced by Hellboy, which I happen to be a big fan of, and which the staff of Studio Shaft, who did the Zetsubou-sensei anime, are also big fans of and paid a lot of homage to it in their anime adaptation of that series, which just kind of drives it home further. I mean, I don't even know if the actual manga author of Zetsubou-sensei was influenced by Hellboy, or if this is more reminding me of the anime. I apologize for bringing it up so much. It's just an inevitable comparison when you're working with such a dark sort of social commentary, but this one is far more off the rails. I mean, it's not set in Japan. The location is really probably most similar to Roenapure from Black Lagoon, a place where, you know, criminals and weird people tend to congregate. But again, it's not an action story. It doesn't have that bombastic feel that Black Lagoon has. It's not really a pulp serial. It's more of a low-key kind of almost slice-of-life-y comedy that just happens to star a bunch of characters who come from really grim backgrounds or you know, are currently operating in grotesque circumstances. There's also an element of love comedy to this, as there are romantic pairings, the main character's kind of falling for one of the maids, you know, you progress through their relationship. There are characters who actually die. It's, you know, it's not sparing. This is only 3 volumes long. I will definitely be reading volumes 2 and 3. I almost did before this video, but I was worried I'd end up spoiling stuff if I read too much ahead. They're all out in English now, so this is an easy blaze through, and I was really intrigued by the fact that the chapters are only like 7 or 8 pages long a lot of the time. Like, they're ultra short. They usually just kind of get in, fixate on 1 or 2 certain characters and get out. So it's kind of an ensemble, even though there is a main character and the maids are very prominent. As you go along, other characters kind of filter in, and as they appear again and again, you'll learn more about them, how they're interconnected in unexpected ways, you know, more about the past of the island, the sort of mythology behind this hotel, and it just ends up feeling a lot richer and more detailed than you first expect, and that's really where I think a lot of the appeal comes from. While it is funny, and there are, you know, some references here and there that might, you know, get to people depending on your age and what kind of things you consume, a lot of, video game references, anime references, stuff like that. That stuff is really just like little haha moments that don't really draw you in nearly as much as the intrigue of learning about these characters does. So it's very much a story that gets more interesting the more of it you read. It hooks you in with the bizarre tone, and then it keeps you there by making these characters interesting to read about and, learning the mythos. You also might just like it because the girls are fucking hot. I mean, Dowman Seyman apparently got his start as an erotic author. He drew a bunch of porn. His porn is kind of weird because the art style is weird to see as actual pornography, but I think that the characters are very attractive. He has a way of drawing sort of saggy tits that I'm a big fan of, and, lots of great character designs, just super unique. Instantly memorable. I don't even know the names of most of these characters because they're not really stated, but I will remember them based on their appearances. And it gets a little raunchy sometimes. I mean, there is one page in here where a girl is smoking pot and masturbating in the bathroom, and it's just straight up shows her masturbating in the bathroom. There's violent imagery. There's it really pulls no punches. This thing is straight for the throat, which might be why it's taken so long for his work to get published stateside, because Dowman Seyman has tons and tons of stuff. This is apparently his best known. It's definitely the one that I always have heard about on 4chan, but he's a really prolific author. I'm surprised that he hasn't, had even more of a cult following if his other stuff is as good as the Voynich Hotel. Because I could see this appealing to a lot of people. Again, if you enjoy stuff like Bakano, Durarara, Sayonara Zetsubou-sensei, Black Lagoon, this is very much in the vein of all that stuff, but has enough of its own unique character that you won't just be, you won't feel like you could read one of those instead. Like, this is extremely distinct in spite of those comparisons. I would say that I'm excited to read the rest of it, and I could see returning to it because it is so unique of a manga. And, I tend to like these types of stories where all the characters are psychopaths with unique, quirky personalities and gimmicks that, play off of each other in fun and interesting ways. Sometimes when, characters you don't expect to interact do, the results can be interesting and unexpected. And it's really, I appreciate the author, goes out of his way to put these people in these kind of unique scenarios where they encounter, other types of people that you wouldn't expect them to. So yeah, overall, this was a really solid read. I will definitely be reading the next two. I would highly recommend it. If you want to buy this book and the other two, I have an Amazon Associates link down in the description where I'm linking straight to it. If you buy it there, I get some of the proceeds. Doesn't cost you anything extra, just means I get extra money, because that's how Amazon affiliate links work. In the next episode, I'm going to be talking about the classic, seminal Rumiko Takahashi work, Urusei Yatsura, which has recently begun getting reprinted in English once again. This is the first 2 volumes in one omnibus, so if you're reading online along with me, the first 2 is what I'll be covering. But yeah, this is the new English release. Classic manga from, the woman who wrote Ranma 1/2, Inuyasha, Meisoni Koku, other stuff. She's very, very famous. So we're going to be tackling that, and I'll see you in the next one.